Hi, everyone. Welcome to The 60 Project, a podcast produced by Livewire Productions in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is a podcast about navigating our 60s. I'm Tracey Thomas, and I just finished my first film, a featured documentary called My First and Last Film, where I sought out to learn more about turning 60, talking to 60-year-olds, and dealing with the loss of my mother and my filmmaker partner and boyfriend, Dennis Peters. But even when I finished the film, I didn't feel like I was done interviewing people in their 60s. I wanted to learn more about what's next. And this is where the 60 Project begins, a podcast where I ask people about the big ones, about death, dying, love, loss, and about recognizing yourself even better with every passing day. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the 60 Project. It's a beautiful spring day here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in every Wednesday. We really appreciate it. We've been kind of crunching some numbers, and we see that our numbers are going up for people listening and viewing. So thank you, everybody. And spread the word if you don't mind. Every Wednesday morning, we have a new episode. So, and we're still in the pandemic thing, so not much more needs to be said about that. Hope everybody's doing okay. Let's get started here. I have a guest today from Beloit, Wisconsin, and I met her about a year and a half ago in Beloit at their International Film Festival, where my film was being shown as a work in progress kind of thing. And that was an experience in itself. And she's got an interesting resume, and so I think let's just kind of get into it. Let's welcome Kathy Jo Taylor from Beloit. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Tracy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How are you doing, by the way, with the pandemic thing? Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, I'm starting to get antsy like everybody else. And I kind of broke a few rules, and then I have my newborn baby granddaughter. Well, she's like 6 weeks. And we've kind of semi-quarantined with them once in a while. We're all being careful.
Okay.
But I miss going. I miss social. I'm a social person. So I really miss going places, to restaurants. I miss Starbucks. I miss saying hi to the person in the, and so my son who's disabled, he's 27, but he's more like 12. So he lives with me. And his highlight of his week, I think he only works to get coffee. And I make him the best coffee every morning. We French best beans, but no, Mom, we got to go get coffee. I don't understand, but I do understand because it's a social thing.
Exactly.
This is so bad. All the girls that know his name at Starbucks, and
yeah.
But other things, like I've organized my house. I have, in a lot of ways, I've been taking a walk every day.
Yep.
I don't know. I've been accomplishing some goals that I needed to just do, and there's nothing else to do. So
right. Yeah.
It's a yin yang. It's good and bad. It's mixed.
I agree. Everybody's healthy though. Everybody's good.
Yeah, everybody's good, and yeah, we're good. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I always have to ask everybody how they're doing.
Yeah,
I agree on the yin yang thing. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of in the last several years, I'm kind of okay with being alone and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah. But I agree about the social. The real social, just like you say, going to the coffee shop, or sometimes I would go to the coffee shop and just kind of do some work on the film back in the day, and just meet up with friends at the coffee shop. And
yeah,
if I want to go to a movie by myself, I mean, I'm happy to wait until we get the all clear, but
sure,
every once in a while it gets a little squirrely. I agree.
And it's one thing to enjoy your own company when you get to, because you want to. It's another thing to like be forced to,
Exactly. I mean, yeah. If I want to be lazy for a day on my own, if it's self-inflicted, that's okay.
Sure.
But, yeah, when you're kind of being told you got to stay put, that gets a little challenging. I'm on like day 35 or something. I don't know. It's like, does it matter anymore what day it is, or the number? I don't think it matters. We're here. We're gonna stay here. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally
agree. It's challenging for sure.
It is.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about this aging thing, which is the, topic
Yeah.
of this podcast, the 60 Project. You're not quite 60, right?
Not quite. I'm approaching. I'll be 57 this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How do
that's
you
60
feel about
number.
that? How do you feel about
It's looming ahead for me. 40 was hard for me. 50 was kind of a wake up call, but 60, it feels like I should be elderly and I'm not. Do you know what I mean? It's like a brain twist because in some ways I feel more in touch and younger and more connection with the younger generation or whatever you want to say at this age than I did in my 20s and 30s. One thing I noticed during quarantine, I've been going through all my pictures. I had this thought, if I died of COVID, would my kids know how to find all this special stuff? Because this is my second marriage. And so I have thousands of pictures and photo albums that have nothing to do with this relationship and sorting all that out. And so I been doing that as a project, and I'm looking at myself. I was a young mom. I got married a month out of high school at 17. I graduated early. And
Wow, you started early.
I did, and I got pregnant a week after I got married.
Oh my gosh.
And by the time I was 30, I had 5 children. And I am so grateful. Honestly, I look back in my life, I'd have to do it the same way because there's 5 amazing individuals that I kind of got to grow up with, sort of, because I was so young. But I'm also appreciating, I think that's part of the reason I feel young now, because I didn't have time to focus on me all those years and find out what I liked and who I was. And if you would have asked me at 30, Kathy, tell me about you, I would have said, I love being a mom. I think I'm doing good homeschooling. I think it would all have been about what I do for other people. I'm a decent wife. I'm a good cook. It would have been all this resume of what I do for others, but that's not what you asked me. You said, tell me about you. And I really think I would have been at a loss for words if you would have pegged me down for an answer. Yeah. Where now when I hit my 40s and I kind of got, my son went through cancer and I go through because life changed. All of a sudden I realized I like blues music, and I don't like A and I do like B. And I realized I had some things that were important just to me.
Right.
And it took me many decades to figure that out.
And when you were saying about people asking who you are, I think if someone asked me when I was in my 30s, who is Tracey, I would have said, I'm married, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, run a business. And I didn't really, I think until I got divorced, I really didn't pay attention. I mean, I had certain things I liked and did, but I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. And I don't think I really explored who I was or let myself be free to be myself. So I don't
give yourself permission. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Permission, right. I don't think I really figured that out until I got divorced. And on my own, it's like, okay, now this is me now. There's nobody else here. It's just me. So you have to face that. That's so interesting. I never thought about that before.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason because I'm looking at all these pictures and I was happy and I was grateful. And I remember going to bed every night. We never made much money, rent was, questionable. But I went to sleep every night thinking I was the luckiest woman in the world. And I'm glad I felt that way. And I'm glad I don't have any regrets about that. I'm glad they were years of joy. But now that I'm 50 and it's 50 in my 50s and I'm not responsible, although I will always be responsible for my disabled son, in some ways I never get to stop parenting. The other day I had my grandbaby and I'm walking in the road. I'm using a Mobi. Oh my God, I never have did that with my other kids, my children.
What's a Mobi? I'm no idea what it is.
It's this wraparound convoluted thing that you put on your chest and put the baby in it, and then your arms are free, but it's like a Rubik's Cube to put it on. And then they put her in, and I was babysitting her for a couple hours. And so I thought, well, we'll take a walk with the baby. It's fresh air. And it was a beautiful idea. And until it was hard to get her out. That was interesting. But she's 6 weeks old. So, but my son, we were walking in the road because there wasn't sidewalk. We just go around our block, and he had a seizure like in the middle of the road, and he fell down. And then this couple, and I have my grandbaby on my chest, and I have this couple sees us, and they stop traffic. And but anyway, so I've been looking for ways to eliminate that. But
yeah, and
it's
I
a
think
daily thing.
I think there's ways out there. I mean, I've read have seen several articles that, you know, medicinal marijuana can certainly help with that, all kinds of things. So I hope you find something, because that would be.
Thank you. I'll be happy when it's legal someday, so we can, the research can be open to everybody. The doctors can freely prescribe and say, this is what's good for this. And because otherwise you're that lay person out there trying to figure it out on your own. So whatever. But that was my justification for not feeling guilty about doing that yesterday. But, you know, I'm trying to learn to not have to have justification for whatever I do, you know?
Yeah, and hopefully the laws will get more relaxed as time goes on, because I think a lot of disabled people are benefiting from it, and it would be nice if it could. I don't know, there's so many worse things in the world that we should be cracking down on, and I think this, I'm probably going to get some hate mail or whatever, but I think there's a place for medicinal marijuana. I mean, I really think there is. It's like, I don't know, it's just.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
There's room for everything.
And I guess, you know, I know we don't want to go on about that, but the states I've been in where it's legal, like Oregon or California, when I went there, I thought I would see all these people just toking out and not doing anything and being lazy, eating Oreos and not living their life. And it's just not an issue. Like when you go to these towns where there's dispensaries everywhere, it's just, there's a dispensary, there's a bar, same thing. It seems to be like treated as alcohol. So you either do it or you don't. It's time or it's not. And it doesn't seem to be a huge deal, you know, where when it's illegal, it's a bigger deal. So,
and I'm sure there's some abuse somewhere, but
of course.
I know in Colorado, when they first, when they first legalized it in Colorado, I mean, after a while, they raked in so much money for their city government.
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes. So there's that.
The economic things, of course. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the
if only we could solve all the problems of the world like that, but we can't.
We're trying. Well, just today, you and I we're going to try and solve at least one world problem today. How about that?
That would be a good day, Tracey.
See what we can do. So let's get back to the kind of talking about turning 60. Did you feel like, when you're like in your 20s and 30s, were you thinking about turning like 60, like, well, that's going to be terrible, or how that's going to, that like never entered your mind?
The people that were 60s, and when I was 20, 30, were like gray haired. I mean, I love your gray hair, by the way. If I could do that, I would. But I mean, like,
thank you.
Old school, grandma, grandpa, ready for the nursing home. So to me, that really felt headed towards elderly, right?
Yeah.
But now that I'm approaching 60, and I've even had some people say, like with the COVID thing, you know, or, oh, be careful for your elderly people over 60. And I'm like, oh my God, I'll be 60. You know, am I elderly? No, I'm not elderly, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really weird. But I also think 60 doesn't mean the same now as it did, unless I just, my frame of reference is different, you know? I remember growing up in a little tiny house on about 5 blocks from here, thinking it was really big. But you know what? I was little, right? So it wasn't relative. So maybe it's not that it's different, although it seems there's a lot of young people with a young spirit that are just getting older. My father's 77 and is way more active than I am, and happy and out there, and he doesn't look a day different than he did 20 years ago, you know?
That's amazing.
So his hair's white, but other than that, and it's like, it's this beautiful white, just gorgeous. So I do think maybe we are, as we grow older and as we're allowed to be older, because our, you know, aging people are allowed to be older and they're not dying as young. And I don't know.
And people are more, I feel like people our age are more active and care more about their health than they did back in my grandma's day.
So true.
Right. So we're more vibrant. We want to do more things. We want to travel more. We want to have second careers. It's like we're not, I'm sure there's a small percentage that don't aren't, you
Yeah.
know, like you and I, active and out there and have interests and hobbies. But
And I also think like, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was very heavy, like
okay.
anywhere from like 270 to I got up to 340. And I lived at that weight for many years. And
Wow.
I was very obese, and I was very active with my kids. I ran a youth center. I was never that lady that sat on a couch and ate bonbons, but I was very large, and I hated pictures of myself, and I didn't like to, I mean, I would take them with my children, but I didn't want to look at them, and I didn't like mirrors, and it was so weird. I had a weight loss surgery about 9 years ago now. Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I
And
remember talking about that. Yeah.
yeah, and it changed my life. And I'm still way too much. I still need to lose about 30-40 pounds, but I don't feel like I'm different than anyone else in the room. You know what I mean? Like I feel I'm kind of Wisconsin chubby. You know what I mean? Like I can have, and
Okay.
I realized so many things about myself back then. I didn't love myself when I should have, because I thought I didn't look good enough, so I wasn't worthy of being loved. But what I did do, because I am a social person, because I do have this drive to reach out to people, and I do have this drive to connect, being so obese kind of helped me develop a superpower. And my kids have always laughed at me, Mommy, you can get somebody's Facebook in a grocery store line. You know, I mean, you connect with people weirdly, you know, in an elevator, give me 60 seconds and I got you, you know. And I think that was developed being really heavy, because I felt like, I don't want you to just judge me by this, so I'm going to show you who I am right away. So my superpower has been, I can show you who I am pretty quickly. And I remember this funny thing. I went to visit my son a few years ago in San Francisco, and we were on the BART, you know, that like BART subway thing.
Yes.
And he said, Mama, I give you 5 minutes to get somebody's Facebook. So he said, social experiment. I'm like, okay. So I see this young man with a crutch sitting, and I sit next to him, and I said, oh my God, honey, what happened to you? And he said, oh, I got hit by a car. I was walking across the road at this point, and I was like, oh, that's terrible. And he says, where are you from? I said, I'm from Wisconsin. Well, why are you here? Well, I'm here because I start chemo next month, because I had just been diagnosed with cancer, and I can't fly when I'm on chemo. So I'm here to visit. He goes, you have chemo? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you should talk to my mom. And I said, is she a cancer survivor? He goes, yes, she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Long story, 4 minutes and like 18 seconds. I had him and his mom's Facebook. Okay. But I have this thing
but
that I love to connect. I want to connect with you, and I want you to see who I am, and I want to see who you are, you know?
Right. And I feel like just by you asking a couple of questions, and maybe some people want to be asked, like the guy with the crutches, it's like you opened up to him, and like a stranger just said like, oh, how's it going? What happened? And people like that. People do want to talk about stuff. I feel like some people are afraid to ask a question, or like, I don't know. And I don't know what we're so afraid of. Someone's either going to answer you back or they're not. I mean, you know, not everybody's comfortable with strangers approaching them that way. I don't know.
That's kind of what I loved about California, or San Francisco too, because my son and his wife at the time lived in the Castro. And my first time being there, I thought, I mean, I'm a Midwestern girl, grew up in church, and I've been loving my gay friends for years. I haven't been judging them, but I still had heard all these things about the Castro and district, and all these gay men everywhere, and so friendly and so open and loving. And I'd be in the grocery store, and this man had a red pepper and a green pepper, and this older gentleman in front of me is like, oh honey, what are you gonna I said, what are you gonna do with that? And he goes, let me tell you. And then we would talk about what he was making for dinner, and I felt like I made a friend. I felt like, you know, it was this beautiful moment. In fact, connecting is such a gift that we don't do enough, in my opinion. And this year I've been trying to embrace something somebody told me about, and I'm a skimmer. Okay. I skim books. I skim what I hear sometimes just to glean the nuggets out of it.
Yep.
And someone was talking about platonic intimacy, how we should embrace that. And so this year, I think as I approach 60, I'm becoming wiser in that I realize not one person has everything I need in life.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
We are gifted. we are gifted with a diamond called life that has all these facets, and all those facets have faces of people. And this is coming to me as I'm saying it. I hope it makes sense. But they all have all these faces that feed and give us light, right? So my 2 minutes in that line with that gentleman that like, oh my God, honey, let me tell you what I'm making for dinner. You have a beautiful day, darling. And I'm like, I will. I took that as, I don't know his name, but I took that as this energy of love and grace and joy in the universe.
Yep.
And I have to tell you this experience that I will never forget. I was in the Castro the weekend. And the Castro, district is the gayest place in the United States, right?
Okay.
And I was there that weekend of the Orlando shooting where the man went into the gay club and, blew it up or whatever, and people died or shot it up. And there was a lot of fear in the Castro district that weekend because it was, even though it was California, it was a target for gay people. And they had a candlelight vigil in the street, in the main street, right down the, if you Google Castro district, you see this iconic street where there's the Castro Theater, and it was all full of thousands of people. And I was with my son and his wife, and it was crowd, right? It was a big crowd. And I accidentally like bumped up against the gentleman behind me and kind of tripped, and he had to kind of steady me. And it was a real big, tall man. And I felt bad because I, bumped into him. So I turned around and said, "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, And he said, no, it's okay. And he said, will you hug me? And I said, absolutely.
Wow.
And this tall, I'm pretty sure he was gay, man was behind me, and we had the most beautiful hug, and he didn't let go. Okay. It was one of those hugs they didn't let go. And it was not creepy. It was the most beautiful thing. And it was in the midst of all this fear and trepidation and sadness. I never got his name, but I will never forget that exchange with a stranger. And I'm so glad that I'm open to those kind of experiences because they make my life richer.
Right. And that moment and the moment in the grocery store with the guy with the peppers, I mean, those are moments in life that I think if you don't treasure them and experience them, I don't know, we all need more little moments like that, especially now with this pandemic and we're all secluded and isolated. I mean, that kind of stuff that you just talked about is I don't know that we will ever be able to experience that again in a way. I don't know how it's all going to play out.
Well, interesting you say that. I had one of those moments at the beginning of this pandemic. I was in Quick Trip, and this, I'm just going to say, he was pretty attractive, 40-year-old dreadlock guy looking at the freezer case going, this look on his face like, what am I supposed to buy? It was at the beginning when people were starting to get groceries and thinking these are going to get out. And he's looking puzzled. And I said, yeah, right. I know. What do we do? And he said, I know. What do I buy? And I said, you know what? Just get what sounds good to you. And just, blah, blah. We were talking about that. And I said, have a great day, sir. And he kind of smiled at me and he was like, yeah. So then I go over to the donuts. If you ever had Quick Trip donuts, they're really good. And I get 2 boxes of them, which was stupid, but I got 2 boxes of donuts. And this very attractive 40-year-old man said, can I give you something? And I said, sure. And he gives me this piece of paper. And I thought it was like some vote for me or something. And it wasn't. It was an advertisement, but it had a number on it. And he said, I don't do this, but I want to see you again. And I had to laugh. I said, oh my God, and that's your phone number? And he said, yeah. Oh. And I said, that is so sweet, but I am so married and I'm so old. I said, and he laughed. He goes, I just love your energy. And he said, I wasn't being disrespectful. I said, no, thank you. I said, I'm going to take this as like love and light in my life. Thank you. And I hope you take it back. And he goes, I am. And I walked away and I thought, what would make a 40-year-old attractive dude hit on a chubby woman that's older buying donuts, for God's sakes? Like, because I'd laughed and said, I don't want to be quarantined without donuts, And I thought, what is it? And I said, what it is that it's that willingness to be open and share yourself with other people. Yep, it's like, we need that as humans. Exactly.
We do need that. And pandemic or not, I feel someone is so much more attractive to me if they are open, and if they don't have any confidence, it's like, oh my God, just like it's like, what have we got to lose if we're not going to be open to people? I mean, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
pretty open. I made a movie and I'm so open in the movie, as you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't feel like I need to hold anything back. And again, maybe that comes with the age thing. I don't know, but I just fear like the situation as it plays out, we're gonna even retreat more and not be afraid to, I don't know, maybe we'll be more open with our friends and say how we feel, and I don't know, but
Yeah.
it is a crazy, I think as people get busy with social media and on their phones all the time, and they have jobs and they're busy and they don't have time to be open, but I don't know. We'll see.
I know. Even my dog, sometimes if I'm on my phone too much and he's sitting on my lap, there's been twice that he's taken his paw and put it on my phone. And I thought, isn't that interesting?
That's
Even
awesome.
an animal can see that you're not
Right.
giving it the attention. But I also think, as bad as it is to be on our phone so much, it also proves that we have inside of us a need to connect.
Absolutely.
And you can argue about whether that connection is valuable or not. I could say you could argue either way. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But it proves that we are born for community. We are born to invest in each other. And there's a lie that I believe most of my life. If I marry the right man, I'm going to find this man that meets all of my needs. If I, there's going to be that one person for me that completes me. And no, it takes the core of humanity to complete me. It's my world completes me. That platonic intimacy. When I walked from Quick Trip that day, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, I wish I would have taken the hot guy's number so I could hook up.
Right.
I really wasn't. I was thinking, oh, he thought I looked pretty. He didn't care that I ate donuts. I walked a little straighter. I went home and I went, hey baby. And I gave my husband a kiss and I happily made dinner, not thinking, oh, he didn't tell me I look pretty today, or he didn't,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not expecting, since I've been embracing platonic intimacy and trying to find those moments and take them in.
Yep.
I've taken a lot of less pressure off of my main relationship. And I realized that even if, God forbid, something happened to him or I was single someday, I would be fine because I am so loved, and I am going to be loved in the future by people I haven't even met yet.
Wow. What a great statement that is.
Yeah.
Because
so I can look forward to life. I can look forward to my friendship with you that is beginning. I mean, that could be a forever thing till I'm here, and I could be gleaning from that the rest of my life.
Wow.
Or the next person that I connect with. I mean, I don't know if they're for a season, for a little time, or if it's for a long time, but that's the cool thing too. Who knows?
Well,
as long as you're open.
Right.
As long as you're open, there's the possibility there.
As long as you're open, because I'm a pretty positive person. So I don't not trust people unless they give me a reason to not trust them. So I'm pretty trusting right away. And people go, oh, why would you do that? I'm like, why would you die? So I feel like if we don't embrace, like you say, those open moments, those little moments, how are we going to grow, and how are we going to meet more people, and I feel like you said, it's a diamond in this thing called life. That's just such a beautiful statement. I feel like, as a friend said to me years ago, he said, life is a gift. Don't mess it up. I mean, especially now, I feel like, and as I get older, I feel like, no, you got to really just kind of dive in and embrace everything that is coming your way. I don't know. I kind of lost myself in that ramble there, but
and it's like, it doesn't come without a cost. We can be real. I get why people don't trust. I teach communications. I'm a professor, and you talk about trust misers and trust givers, and we're probably both trust givers. We give you that trust until you break it. Where a trust miser doesn't give you the trust until you earn it. Now there's trust misers are going to be less likely to get hurt, right? And trust givers are going to be hurt. And living my life open the last 15, 20 years, have I been hurt? Yes. Do I have haters? Yes. Weirdly, I am so loved. It's embarrassing. Okay. I can never whine about not being loved. I've had 2,000 students that I've been able to teach, college students. I have, and I've kept a lot of those in my life. We don't end our relationship, a lot of them after. I've had a lot of beautiful experiences going through cancer, meeting other people who've gone through cancer, my doctors that I have on my phone that are happy to hear my voice. I've had so many beautiful experiences that this list of haters that I have, okay, they don't really matter. It's not that I don't care about them. I do. I'm sad that I caused them.
But you can't waste your energy on that.
No,
I can't either.
No. And I got that great book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it says in there,
I have that book too.
You have only, I just skimmed it, but you have, what I got out of it was this: you have only so many fucks to give in a day. Okay. So let's say you have 20, and that person that hates you, that wants to engage you in a Facebook fight, which is going on in my Facebook right now that I'm ignoring, but that will take up a lot of your fucks. Do you know what I'm saying? Your emotions, right. your energy. So it's like, be careful who you spend and waste your time on. And I guess that's the way I try to guard my heart, is negativity is just the biggest turnoff, because I get being realistic, and I get being concerned, and I get being careful, but just being negative and mean, I just don't have the energy for that.
I don't either. And I feel like as I get older, I think when I hit like 55 or 60, probably closer to 60, it just is like what they say, when you hit that certain age, you really don't care anymore what other people think. And it was just like this light bulb of like, okay, I'm at that point now where I really don't care. I mean, you care, but not enough to, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I'm getting there, sister. Yeah. It's taken me a while. I grew up, I went through sexual abuse as a child, and it taught me this horrible thing. The thing that it left me with, the legacy it left me, was it left me feeling responsible for other people's emotions, and the people around me, that I was trying to protect this person that was hurting me. And it made me think that I believed this lie that I had the world in the orbit, and I was like a juggler juggling all these balls. And so it created a real codependency in me that I started my first marriage with, that I can't fault my husband for. I'm going to be this perfect, wonderful person that makes everybody happy all the time. And that is what that did to me. That experience of a few years of my life as a little girl, that's what it did for me. And that messed me up more than anything.
Okay.
And I'm learning at this age, wait, I'm not responsible. If you don't like me, or you hate my Facebook posts, or I make you crazy, just delete me. Okay. Just get rid of me. You don't have to be my friend, and it's okay. And I don't have to make you okay with my opinions. I have strong opinions about religion and about church and spiritual abuse and who I think God is. And I remember a few years ago, I had this weird, I grew up very fundamental Christian, loving, Jesus loves you, but I'm not sure God likes you that much if you don't do the right thing, So that was cool though. I still felt proud of my heritage. I raised my children kind of the same way. And then my oldest son became an atheist about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he was not my favorite, as a mom of 5, you don't really have favorites, but he was my rock. He was my one that he grew up with me, right. And it challenged me, because I remember praying with him to receive Jesus at 5. And I remember him seeing an angel, he thought, in his room. And it made me question everything about the way I raised my children. And I was very offended and hurt and angry and challenged. And then he would send me all these podcasts that would make me crazy. Okay. And I would be so mad and felt so belittled. And he sent me this podcast one day, Dogma Debate by David Smalley. And the guy used to be a Christian, and he just engages believers. And I find myself thinking, yeah, you make sense. And the believer is the one who would make me crazy. And I would end up yelling at the believer. And I told my son, honey, someday mommy wants to talk to him. On March 7th, 2018, I'll never forget the day, because it kind of changed my life. He said, Mom, you got your chance. David had this famous scientist on tomorrow, and he can't do it. He needs a Christian to talk to. I told him he should talk to my mom. So I was at my office at URock, and the philosophy professor was next to my office. His office was next to mine, and we were good friends, and he's a believer. And I said, oh my God, Richard, you're not going to believe this, but my son told me I should, try to get on this atheist podcast tomorrow. And he was like, don't do it. They're going to want you to solve the problem of evil. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't solve the problem of evil. I'm only like, so anyway, I sent a little email, David, I've been listening to you, blah, 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 blah. I would love to talk with you. And my professor friend is like, oh my God, Kathy, you shouldn't have sent that. And 2 minutes later, hey, give me 3 hours tomorrow night. So I get home and I said to my husband, I am so scared. I'm so nervous. I need wine. Okay. And he was like, no. Okay. I'm not giving you wine. You're going to be an idiot. This guy's really smart.
Okay.
You don't hold your wine good. Right.
Oh,
so I was like, okay.
Yeah. Might not be a good idea. Right.
Right. So then I said, okay, well, my husband's interesting. When I married him, he was an atheist, my second husband. He came to my bar church, and that's how I met him. I had a church and a bar for 8 years.
Okay.
And he kind of became sort of a believer in the first few years we got married, but he doesn't believe in prayer. He thinks that like prayer is like, if God already knows what you're thinking, blah, blah, blah. So I knew he didn't believe in prayer, but I was really nervous. And I'm usually not nervous engaging, but I was nervous about this. And I said, honey, I know you don't believe in prayer, but just hold my hand while I pray for myself, okay? Because I'm going to pray for myself. And I said something like, I don't know, God, just give me the right words, blah, 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 give me peace, blah, 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 I don't know. And when I got done, my husband kept my hand, and he actually said the only prayer for me that he's ever said since then or before then. And he prayed for me. It was so precious. But I ended up going on this phone call and 2.5 hours of just beautiful conversation, okay?
Nice.
Where this man sweetly challenged me and my belief system and wasn't rude at all. And
Cool.
we really connected, and we kind of fell in love with each other. It was in a platonic way. And at the end of it, 4 days later, he said, Kathy, I have 40,000 downloads on that episode. And within 6 weeks, it was 100,000.
Wow.
I became, weirdly, I didn't realize what a big podcast it was. He talks to Sam Harris. He talks to Richard Dawkins. Those are his friends. I have been on there now 3 times, and I am his favorite guest. Isn't that weird?
That's fantastic.
But what it did is it put me in this world of having to like look at my faith honestly and see how it applies to my life. And he challenged me to think, would you live your life any different? You know, and just seeing the beauty in humanity. And I still am a believer. I'll just tell you really quick. The first podcast I did, we argued about the blood for 45 minutes. Is God a mafia god? Why does he need blood? You know? And I had so much pushback. And that's, oh, I know what we're going back to. That's where it started, me really being challenged what people think of me. Because all my Christian friends, even one of my family members called me up and said, Kathy, I'm so sad. You know, you talked about the blood of Jesus for 45 minutes. Like you didn't think it was important. And I said, hey, did you ever wonder why God would need blood to accept you? Well, of course I do wonder that. I just wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, okay, I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to talk about what I think about. Then the second one I did, I'd already met him and I was more snarky. So at one point he's in the studio with 5 other guys in LA at the Comedy Store. And they're kind of giving me a hard time. Kathy, give up your Jesus floaties. You can swim now. You know, just Jesus is like your floaties. You can swim without your floaties. We love you. Just give it up. And this thing happened to me. They were like pressuring me, right? And I was kind of, I tried the fuck you guys. I love Jesus, you know, which I know it doesn't sound, but they're laughing at me. And then all of a sudden, this thing came over me. And I honestly don't be sad. I'm not sad about being sexually abused. But this thing came over me and I'm like, you guys, and I started to cry. I said, when I was sexually abused as a child, I felt like Jesus was there for me and it was something I hung on to and it's important to me.
Okay.
And they're all like, David, leave her alone. Dude, back off. Let her have Jesus. It was so cute. It was kind of funny. When I listened to it, it's kind of interesting. And then the third time I went on, just let me finish this thought. The third time was only 2 months ago. And I have to tell you, he almost got me. And he kind of teased me because I have to admit, I'm not that person I used to be. I don't behold to this Republican gun-toting white Jesus, you know, I can't. Right. That isn't who I am. But then what am I, Tracey? And so I'm going through all these things with David, you know, with this famous atheist. I'm like going through this thought process and unloading and I'm crying. And he's like, Kathy, you're this, you know.
Wow.
And the comments I got from that were terrible. Like, Kathy, how dare you? You're deconstructing, you're losing your faith in front of our eyes. And how dare you engage somebody who mocks God?
Right.
And that's not why I was doing it. I see it as this honest friend that's trying to help me understand. Sure. And he loves and accepts me, even though I believe in Jesus. And I love and accept him, even though he doesn't. But my Christian friends, the people that have worked so hard my whole life, or some of my family, they can't accept me for just being who I am, even though I don't even know who that is right now.
Yeah.
None of us really know. We're a work in progress, right, Tracey? I mean,
we are totally. I was thinking about that last night. It's totally a work in progress. And
yeah.
my mom said years ago, she says, we're here to learn. So I feel like I'm always learning and always a work in progress. I'm not perfect. And I'm a big believer in looking inward, especially as I get older. I want to reflect and be calm and be still and kind of know who I am. And if there are improvements I need to do, then I'll do them. But we're totally works in progress. Do you feel like, thanks for sharing all that, by the way, do you feel like you are living now your authentic life?
Yes, I do feel like I'm way more authentic. I still second guess myself all the time. I would love to get rid of that. But because I don't want to hurt anybody, I don't want to offend people. But sometimes if me being authentic makes you, like if me being honest about where I'm at and what I'm thinking about makes you be offended at me, I think I have to make a choice to keep a relationship with you or be honest to myself. I did a Facebook video a few weeks ago, and I said fuck way too much, but I was upset at it was a Franklin Graham thing, and he was like telling people the pandemic was God's curse. And I just thought, I hate even associating myself with a God that other people associate that with. Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of said, this God deserves your atheism. And I did this little turn on that, but I ended up being really honest on my Facebook, which I have a few thousand people. So like my relatives and stuff around there, but I was really honest that truthfully, I said, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm hanging on to my faith by a thread, trying to weed out what I want to keep of this rubble of, evangelical Christianity that I was raised in. I'm trying to figure out what I believe, and I'm barely hanging on. So I was really honest, almost as honest as I was in the podcast with the atheists, which most of the people don't listen to that. But I got so many comments, like I got some text saying, Kathy, get a thesaurus, come up with better words. They were more, in other words, what hurt my feelings is they were more offended by my use of an F-bomb than they were that I might lose my faith.
Okay.
Because these are people that claim, right, to know God, love me.
Right.
And so wouldn't you be more worried, like, oh my God, Kathy, I'm praying for you that you don't lose your faith? Or why would that make you sad that I don't like Franklin Graham? Wouldn't it make you more sad?
Yeah.
But you're offended.
You would think so. And I feel like on that same vein with this pandemic thing going on, the people on Facebook, and I feel like people are showing I'm seeing people as their true colors, as Cyndi Lauper would say. And it's I'm pretty disappointed in the few people that I've had different feelings about. And it's like, really? And people are like super nasty on my page. And it's like, again, I'm a positive person. So I feel like it's astounding to me that people can say so many things that they just comes out of their mouth without them, pandemic or not, that they think might not be offensive. They just say it just because they're saying it. It's like they have their own filter. I mean, you have to be.
And sometimes I fall into that too. Yeah, I have to say, because I jump into that fray. Right? I have low impulse control. So I'm going, ooh, post that. And then I might stir up the pot without meaning to, and then people get ugly, and so I kind of become provocative on there. And I'm gonna try not to do that, I guess. Although sometimes it's hard with the politics the way they are right now to not push back without seeming provocative. So I have to find that balance and line.
Yeah, I try to stay out of the politics of it, because that really, to me right now is, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but to me that has nothing to do with what's going on. It's like, it's a health crisis to me, and I feel like we need to focus on that.
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to turn this into a big political thing.
Yeah.
But let me see. I had another question about this aging thing. Do you feel like it sounds like you're on a pretty good path. It sounds like you've had a pretty colorful and challenging history and resume. Do you feel like you have any more, I think I might know the answer to this, accomplishments or dreams you need to fulfill or accomplish or do? Or
Absolutely. I think life is always full of surprises, right? And this pandemic has given a lot of us reason to think about reinventing ourselves.
Yes.
And I think about when I'm approaching 60, I'm thinking of reinvention, but I was thinking about that before pandemic.
Okay.
But when I was, just a quick backstory, when I was a homeschool mom, never went to college, raised 5 kids successfully, 3 of them went to college and, all this stuff. But when I was getting a divorce the first time, I was challenged, what do you want to do when you grow, when your child support's over? And
right.
I was like, I'll work at Walmart or I'll marry somebody else with money. I don't know. I had no idea. And the lady suggested I go to college. And
there it is. You got to think about it.
You're right. And she was like, no, you're going to have to think about this, Kathy. And she said, maybe you should go to school. And this psychiatrist was in her 70s and actually had went to college in her 50s. She was amazing. And she encouraged me to go to school. And I thought, I was kind of mad I had to do that. I thought, why do I have to learn algebra at 42 to be worth something, to be worth hiring? Because I've ran a youth center. I've, coped with cancer with my child. I've done all these great things.
Yeah.
But no, I don't mean anything unless I have a degree. So long story short, I went till I was 50 and got my master's at 50. And I didn't quit. And I'm really proud of myself because I'd always been the person that had great ideas, but wasn't a follow through. And I actually followed through. And I taught during grad school as an assistant, and I got hired 3 weeks out of school to be an instructor at UW-Whitewater. And that's what I've been doing. So I got to have this dream life interacting with young people, which I love to do and get paid for it and be a college professor and be me and they can be them. But now with this pandemic, and then I decided I would finally write my son's book and I'm going to be an author and I'm a professor. But now with this pandemic, the whole education thing, the higher education thing is kind of up in the air.
Right.
And I did make the budget cuts, but I'm only part-time next fall. And so I kind of need to reinvent myself again. And I had gotten comfortable, like, okay, even if nothing else happens, I get to be a professor and it's easy job with my son who's disabled. And so now I'm trying to think of new ways to reinvent myself and have income streams. And so, but I'm not depressed about it. It's just a challenge and it's kind of fun. It can't be as hard as going through 8 years of college again. So I did that. So
yeah, I wonder if there's some point as we move along this age path, if we at some point have to be okay with where we are and not have to reinvent ourselves, not have to add something more to the list of, I got to get this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to go to business, I got to travel, I got to go to, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like, things are pretty good. I don't need to do anything. On the other hand, before this all started, I thought, the film is done and I was happy that I did it and it turned out great. And now I can plan my travels around the world, country. And now that's kind of all up in the air, of course. But now I feel like, I don't know what that future is going to be. So I guess I just have to be comfortable with pandemic or not where I am right now. I guess, mostly pandemic, but,
and I think it's a balance. Like, do we feel we need to reinvent because we have more stuff we want to do? Like, the older I get, I also feel like, having cancer a few years ago, I have to say was a gift because it kind of lit a fire under me. Like, I made me think, what do you want to do before you die? Do it. I went to Europe last year for my first time. I wanted to write this book. For 20 years, I wanted to write Josiah's story. It's such an extraordinary story. Unlike anything you've ever heard, but it's been in me for 20 years and it's going to die in me unless, I get it out. And I was gifted with Kristen, had a 4-hour conversation with me and just recorded me and tell me the story, Kathy, from front to everything, including all the facets. And she was kind enough to type all that out.
Wow.
And after this last year, I thought, sit with that document, Kathy, get it out of you. Don't die with that in you. So yes, some of it, like when
Way
we
to put
feel
it.
the need to reinvent ourselves, some of it is being faced with our mortality. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure. For sure.
And what do I don't want certain things to be left unsaid.
Yep.
And then some of it, you're right. We should be at peace with what we've done. And so I guess I have some of that and I have some of the other, you know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
the balance.
I guess I like that don't die with that in you. And that could apply to so many things. That's really
Yeah.
brilliant, actually. Because whether it's a book or whatever,
Or telling somebody you love them that you haven't told.
exactly. Telling somebody
That could
you love
be
them,
something you got to get out. Yeah.
or making closure with somebody or whatever.
Right.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge because, as I said to someone the other day, we're all going in the same direction. None of us are getting out of here alive, whenever that is. So yeah, I really like that. And maybe this pandemic will teach us that. I mean, I think as we get older, like I said, we're facing our mortality. We're closer to it than, other people, other generations. But it is kind of right here. It's not right here. Maybe it's out here a little bit, but bless you.
Well, thank you. Especially in the pandemic, in the first few weeks, I don't know about you, but I am a cancer survivor. So I was thinking I have those issues.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
My husband's diabetic and smokes. My son is a cancer survivor. So I was feeling very vulnerable. Right now, I feel really healthy. I feel kind of invincible. But what was shocking to me and what kind of made me go through my pictures and get my house in order was the people that were going into the hospital and dying the next day. Did you remember in the beginning, it was so apparent how quickly they died and they couldn't even say goodbye to people they loved. They couldn't be in the room. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's brutal. That's brutal.
It is brutal. So it made me go I texted a few people that I hadn't texted for a long time. Hey, I just want you to know I love you and I'm so glad you've been a part of my life.
Yeah.
Even some of my family, the family that I talked about not being happy with me, they've been such a beautiful part of my life. And they're I wouldn't be the girl I am today without the love from my, Christian conservative family that loved me and nurtured me when I needed it. So I've been going through pictures, sending it to them saying, hey, I know we don't agree on a lot, but I am so grateful you were a part of my life and you were a part of the fabric of my life. And it's I've been sending so many people photos, when people take pictures through the years, and I'm just taking pictures of the pictures. So they're not that great, but they're saying, hey, remember this moment, and I love you, and I'm so glad you're a part of my life. And I felt, because I could be gone tomorrow. Literally, it's right in front of our face.
Well,
you could get COVID.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that idea, though, I'm going to steal that idea of sending photos to people. Because a while ago when I was cleaning out photos, and I put some in little envelopes, like some friends I haven't seen since I got divorced. We email once in a while, but I thought, I'm going to save these and send them to them. I'm going to send them to them now. That's so great. Like photos that I don't need, that they maybe have never seen. And we were great friends when we were married. It's like, God, that's a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a really good idea, because we all just assume everybody's okay, and maybe they're not. Maybe this will brighten somebody's day to get that little envelope full of old photos we all hung out, right? Wow.
Especially snail mail. Snail mail is so awesome. It is
awesome. Yeah. I don't know. And I was afraid to go to the post office because, sometimes you get afraid to answer. But I found a flat rate priority envelope, whatever you call it. And I thought, okay, I did a click and print at home, and I walked over to the post office, put it outside in the box. It felt creepy, but I don't know.
Good for you.
What I had to do. But it was my taxes, so I wanted to get it in. I thought, now that's off my back, the taxes. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've been making lists for myself too in this pandemic. And my first list was 40 things. And now I got to cross off a bunch of things. And now my list on my fridge is 15 things, but they're big, like clean the garage, organize the basement, go through pictures. And it's I can't believe everything I'm accomplishing. And I'm usually don't. So
what are you going to do when that list is done? So that's my fear.
I think that I'm going to draw and create. Last year, one thing I added to my life, actually last summer, I felt my book was still in me. It hadn't come out. I had that conversation with Kristen, that document she gave me, which was such a gift, but I wasn't motivated because I don't focus well. And I weirdly became attracted to drawing. I've never drawn. I think when I was a little girl, I drew a few pictures, but I started drawing vintage little girls, those big-eyed kids. And as part of, I remember these things in my room and when I was little, and I weirdly was fascinated and addicted to drawing pictures. I made myself an Instagram. I got better and better at it. Got addicted to art supplies. Oh my God, I'm so glad that's over. But I became somebody who draws pictures. Now they aren't worth printing but they were fun and cute, and I was developing my own style. And for about 3 months, it's all I did. Like my dream day would have been everybody leave me alone with my stuff and a table and just let me go.
Right.
Well, looking back, it seems to me that hindsight is always 20/20, and what that did for me, that 3 months, I really think neurologically, I developed a new pathway in my brain because when you copy and draw, you have to like focus. When I got out of that drawing period, school had started, I had to put it aside. I was compelled to write that book, and I did it in about 4 weeks. Okay. And I really think I wouldn't have done it without drawing. Okay. So what I'm going to do, drawing is on my list again.
Okay.
And when all this stuff gets done, I'm going to sit back and do things I enjoy,
Yeah. I'm trying to get a little balance here of that and not do all the projects at once, because
I know that's a better way to do it. And like, I'm enjoying talking with you. I have my own podcast. I'm enjoying doing that. So I am doing some things I enjoy, but to just sit and not worry about other stuff around me and just draw pictures, my brain's not there yet, but it will be soon.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't been able to open a book yet. I think I'm almost there, but I said that last week. So it's hard for me to imagine like opening a book and like focusing on a couple pages. No, it's weird.
I know.
We'll get there though. I mean, we have plenty of time to do those creative things, but I think when our brains are relaxed, that there's more space now it's some spots in our brains emptied out because we're not rushing here and there and going to jobs and trying to get things done. Now we have all this open space to like read, draw,
so
creative.
So like before we were multitasking to a fault. Okay, so now we're not having to do that, and we're finding this space that's open. That's really good. Yeah, I can see that.
That makes a lot. Yeah, I know some other people that were going through the same thing. I was like, I have so much more space in my head now to welcome more things. The creative section of your brain or whatever is wide open now, because a lot of it is pushed way to the back. I know. I'm not a scientist, but that much I know. We are nearing our hour. Time already. Do you have anything that you'd like to add? Some final words about aging, or
I guess we all say to ourselves, we wish we could know now, like what we know in our 20s or something, but and I try to pass those things on to my children and say, oh my gosh, when mom was 20, I didn't realize this, but now I know it. You should learn it, but I really think that there's just things you don't get except by experience. And we don't get experience except by growing old. And when I got cancer, one of the most beautiful things it did for me was I used to dread getting old. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be 50 someday? Oh my God.
Right.
Then I got cancer and I thought, what a gift to be old. What a gift to be in a rocking chair at 90 and be able to hold a great, great grandchild. What a gift it would be. What a gift. And so I really want to look forward to whatever life has for me. And another thing, when my son got cancer 20 years ago or something, gosh, time goes so weird. One of the most comforting things that have comforted me during this pandemic was I used to worry, is my son going to die? Is my son going to die? Or when I got cancer, am I going to die? This thought would come to me that was this weird comfort. And it's been happening these last few weeks. Am I going to get COVID and die?
Right.
I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. And that comforted me 25 years ago. We could all die tomorrow, get in a horrible car accident. And I know that doesn't sound comforting, but it was, because I'm afraid of this thing that I think I see, but there's so much unknown we don't know.
So much
unknown. And so it comforted me. Yes, I could die from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I probably won't. But I could also get hit by a car. So I don't know. So I might as well live today and embrace what I have. And I began to live my life more intentionally, and I look for eye contact when I walk down the road or I walk down the hall at my school. I seek out human connection.
Right.
And I glean so much beauty back from it. So much, it feeds my soul, just that smile from a stranger, or
Right.
I feel like I have the best life of anybody I know. And I believe it is because I feel that way. I know I don't, but I feel that way because I am so open to taking in everything this world has to offer, whether, no matter who it's from. It could be my atheist friend, that is famous for being an atheist and dealing with Christians, but he loves me and I love him,
Right.
or that guy at Quick Trip, or you, I mean, who knows? Or my sweet friend who said, Kathy, if our husbands die, let's be late life lesbians and just garden and grow old together. And she goes, we don't even have to sleep together, but we have to cuddle. And I'm like, and it was such a gift. And it was such a gift. I found that text on an old phone the other day. And that was my friend who had the Atheist Club of Rock County. Okay. And my response to her in the text was, I can't believe you said it to me. I'm a Jesus freak. She goes, I don't care, Kathy. She said the sweetest thing, because I was really heavy at the time. She said, I will help you eat better and you will help me want to get out of bed in the morning.
There you go.
And it was so precious. It was just this exchange of love and appreciation for who the other person was, exactly, regardless if we agreed or not on faith or religion or politics. And it's like, I love those people that we don't have to see eye to eye on everything, because we never are going to find that person. And you have to let people, those are awesome words. We have to let people be who they are. Absolutely. And you don't have to like everything, every single thing about them, but if you let people be who they are, then they will be who they are. They have that permission. They don't need my permission, but boy, if we kind of give it to them and let them know that it's okay to be who they are. And truthfully, Tracy, the people who are dicks, okay, I'm sorry, but the people who are dicks are people who are not living their authentic life. Because I really have never met somebody who has shown me their underbelly, that vulnerable side, that I haven't saw beauty in that. Well, and that's true. I have yes. Because the people that are shutting you out or being rude or being mean or cruel, or I have some of those people in my life, and they're not being who they really are. They're not being who they are. I don't think they are. And they probably don't know who they are, or they don't like who they are, perhaps. Or they're afraid of what that would take. I mean, I don't know if I was totally living my authentic life back in the day, but it feels pretty good right now at this age, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it's going to make the rest of my life that much better. Absolutely. Who I am at this age, right? Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a girlfriend right now who's going through a pretty rough time, aside from pandemic stuff. And she's so vulnerable right now, but she's so open to me and so just willing to be herself in her terrible times here. And it's like, I feel so blessed to be able to help her, to be there for her, and that she feels comfortable with me to be herself. She always has been, but it's just, she's so open about her struggles right now. And it's, I feel blessed that I can be her friend through this, seriously. I don't know why I brought that up. I guess I had to. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So is your book done? Well, I'm looking for an agent. I mean, it's done as enough as for me to give to somebody and them to just peel over it, say, no, change this. But so just really quick, if I could throw in there, my son got cancer at 3. He was one of 40 children in Florida in a cancer cluster, and he's the only one alive, sadly. But he got diagnosed here, and they did a surgery, and it wasn't completely successful. And they ended up giving him, we did alternative therapies. They gave us a small chance for him to live if we did chemo, and we said no. Okay. And so they gave him we did all these alternative therapies that didn't work. And then they gave him 3 months to live. And so we began to change our, approach from, we're going to save him with all these alternative things and carrot juice, to, honey, you're going to die. And we were really blunt with him, and he was 4 years old. And then at the end of 3 months, he ended up choking on a marshmallow. We got med flighted to the hospital, and his quality of life was still pretty good. And they said, we're pretty shocked. We're going to do a scan. And they said it was medically impossible for him to live more than a week. After that, we got real serious. We got home and we're like, sweetie, you're going to go to heaven, blah, blah, blah. It's a wonderful place. We're all going to be there. He never once cried about dying, but he'd always say, I'll be 5 someday, Mom. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you'll be 5 in heaven, you know. He lived 6 months with no medical explanation. And towards the end, he was getting really tired. And I saw a lady in my town that her baby needed a liver. She would die. And I asked if my son could be an organ donor. And they said, we don't take kids with chemo. But I said, we didn't do chemo. Mm-hmm. So they said, okay, but he has to die in a hospital. Long story short, that woman's baby died. It was so sad. But on August 28th, my son went in to be an organ donor. I knew he seemed fine, but I knew he was going to die. And sure enough, the next morning, we got admitted to the hospital. And the next morning, he was brain dead. And he was in a coma. They med-flighted him to Madison to take his organs, and he woke up. And right before they could do it, they were cleaning him to do that, and he woke up. Whoa. And they didn't know what to do with him. It wasn't really good news. His tumor had cut off his breathing supply. He was intubated, and they said, this isn't good. We can't leave him hooked up to an intubator, or ventilator. Okay. Nobody can touch him. And I really felt like the worst mother. And that night, a new surgeon had just come to the hospital 2 weeks before, 33 years old. And he did what nobody else would do. And he put him through 2 brain surgeries a week apart. Got all of his tumor. Okay. But he couldn't come off a ventilator. And he was on life support for 3 years.
Oh my God.
At home. But he is now 27. There is nobody with his medical history alive. And there was a TV show called It's a Miracle. It's on Amazon Prime, actually. Season 2, episode 20. And they did it 20 years ago. And then Japan World News had 2 miracles, world astonishing miracles. And they did it with actors. It was really bizarre. And 20 years ago. And for years, people said, you need to write a book. What did you learn through it? Because I learned so many things about that would be helpful for other families. And it's also not a miracle book because I've done a lot of funerals for children who have died from cancer. Okay. And that would just be cruel, So anyway, I'm wanting to not go through a Christian publisher. I'm wanting to, blah, blah, blah. So, but I think it's worth reading about and you learning about. It's a unique situation. So
right. And we look forward to hearing about it when you get it on its way. And I hope I can get an autographed copy of it.
Oh, absolutely, Tracey. All right. Thank you for having me. I feel so
Thank you for all your lovely words. And that was a very interesting, great conversation. Thank you so much. And we'll talk again sometime. And I want to thank our listeners again for continuing to stay with us during these troubled times. And we'll bring you, like I said, episode every Wednesday, new episode. And thanks for listening and watching. And thanks to my producer, Kristen, for producing and editing. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.